Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So it's been a while since I made myself a Division video, and yes, I usually make these videos for myself as well, but I'm excited and I'm happy that you guys actually join in the conversation, because if you guys didn't watch the video, it would just be some random guy blabbing around the place. Now, one of the really cool things about this entire, discussion that surrounded the division for about the past year is, when are we going to ever get any content? And even from that conversation will many times spawn the other conversation, basically, why do you keep covering this game? What do you still see in this video game that you continue to cover it, that you continue to talk about it? And so, you have one question that leads to another very critical existential question in many cases, and it's really interesting to talk about it. So one thing that we know as division agents is, this is a unique game. This is a game that you can't really find anything out there like it. It's very difficult. In fact, like, for those of you who know, you have access to a lot of other games, and sometimes you play them, sometimes you catch up with them, but many times you find yourself coming back to Tom Clancy's Division because the Division is that one game that really does resonate with you in a different way. So I guess, in my opinion, I'm gonna go ahead and try my best to answer some of these concerns, and we could just have this conversation. And by the way, let me hear in the comment section what you are doing with the Division right now. Are you taking a break? Are you playing? Are you coming in once a week to play the regular legendaries? Just talk to me in the comment section about it. So question number one, are we ever going to have any progress with the Division game itself? That's a very, very solid question to ask. One of the beautiful things about game development is it's a very interesting process, and the people who have the money are the people who are continuing to push that agenda forward. So you got to have the time, you got to have the money, you got to have the ability to be able to get out there and get developers. This is something that's very difficult to do, but some studios are excelling at it. I mean, some studios are failing at it. If you guys watched my last video, I talked about Pro Evolution Soccer and Konami, how they basically seem to have failed at their new plan to take, their soccer game to the next level, and they basically bombed it. And that's something that happens a lot of times. If you even go around and look at, say, even some other games from indie studios, you find out the indie studios are winning, but then you have to also kind of chalk it up to all of the different intricacies: COVID, pandemic, differences in the way different studios do things. All of these factors have come together to basically see that the Division has basically had a very tough time in its production. And then you also have things like shareholders. You have the possibility of Ubisoft probably wanting to end the Division, and then shareholders asking, hey, what are you guys going to be doing? And then you also have Avatar, you also have Star Wars, all these other ambitious projects that they want to go for. And this is the context within which you're seeing the Division right now. So if you ask me, so what's up with the Division? I'll say Star Wars, I'll say Avatar, I'll say Ubisoft, I'll say Massive, I'll say Ubisoft Bucharest, I'll say Red Storm. There's so many things that are involved in this one particular franchise and affects this one particular franchise. It is impossible for you to make very clear predictions or even keep your sanity if you don't consider all of these things together. So with all these forces pulling left and right and back and forth, all we have is the basics. We pretty much have this so-called talk about new content that's being produced somewhere in Europe, that's being coordinated by Ubisoft Massive, and we also have the Division Heartland being produced by Ubisoft Red Storm. And this is a very important thing to just kind of keep in mind, that the production of these, games, or the production of these game modes and IPs or whatever it is going to take a lot of time. Everywhere in the gaming industry, we're seeing it right now. But even still, I think the Division right now, we're still in a lucky spot. Yes, we don't have any content, and I know many people would say, and most of you here, you've said Destiny, Bungie, but again, Bungie doesn't have as much red tape as Massive does. It's just the reality of things. Massive is not going anywhere like Bungie did after they just basically bounced from Activision. So, Ubisoft studios have got to follow their own red tape. Plus, Ubisoft has other games that are in the works right now. Far Cry is coming, Riders Republic is coming, and then they have Rainbow Six Extraction. So I think priorities are right now probably going to be hanging upon how they can deliver those brand new games, because those are going to be the money bringers. Those have been eating a marketing budget. So Ubisoft really, in my opinion anyways, I think they want to basically just push those games out. And then we, on the Division side, we've had our fun from 2019. We are on the back burner. Sad reality, but it is the reality pill that we have to go with. Second question is, and this was from one of my audience members, George. He asked me, he said, are you ever going to move away from the division? And, that's a very good question. Some of you know the answer to that. I mean, if I threw it out there as a trivia, someone's going to answer. But those of you who know, I enjoy doing YouTube, actually. I enjoy talking about video games. And a while ago, I think around 2018, I started a second channel. It's a very small channel. And I'm building a community there where I discuss an entire, different video game genre. I'm looking into the superhero games. That's a lot of fun. The audience there is very different from us here in the community. And when I say us here in the community, the division's demographics is age 25 to age 65, and more concentrated is age 35 through age 55 in the division community. We are kind of grown in this community, whereas that other community is really young. They're in the 18-year-olds to 24-year-olds, and so it's really interesting to be learning the process of talking about the video game from the perspective of that kind of gamer and the perspective of that kind of game. And so I do that. In fact, many times I will focus on that and I will just abandon the Gamey Daddy channel when there isn't anything much to talk about. And so I've been over there on the Video Game Fight School channel. That's the name of the channel, and I've been working really hard on discussing that content. One of the really cool things too in doing that is it's helped me also get kind of a broader knowledge of how the gaming industry is being run. A lot of the games that are supposedly in the works for that will fit that channel and that audience have actually been pushed till next year. In fact, they were pushed so far to next year. They were pushed last year to next year. That's how bad this entire delay thing has been happening. And so when you see all of these things go on, it's really interesting. And then even some other games that we play as well, in terms of sequels, like some people waiting for GTA, some people wondering whether NetherRealm Studios is going to make an MK12 game or an Injustice 3 game. All these questions are being asked because by now we should have known something, but we have no idea what many of these gaming studios are working on or what many of them are doing. Only few of them have had a lot of luck in terms of telling their audiences what they're working on. I think right now the people who are enjoying this entire gaming scene are, number one, studios that are small, and then number two, studios that have a very narrow focus. And what I mean by that is indie studios, and then with the narrow focus I mean studios who pretty much develop for a very specific platform, like PlayStation Studios. So Insomniac, Bluepoint Games. I think Bluepoint Games is the one. They're the guys that made Demon's Souls. Just recently, Sony just made an announcement saying that they're now part of the Sony family, and for them, that means they're just going to be making PlayStation games. You look at the God of War studio, Sony Santa Monica. They just have one narrow focus to make a game on one platform. I mean, the new God of War game, the new Horizon Zero Dawn game, these games are going to come out on the PlayStation, and if they ever make their way to PC, it's usually a port down the road. So I think they're the ones right now that really have, in a sense, the blessing of simplicity, whereas the other studios have to deal with making their games on, potentially in some cases, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox X, Stadia, and every other platform, sometimes Switch. And these things are logistically tasking, and Ubisoft and Massive and all of this falls into that category. By the time they're deciding to make this new Division content, they're going to be making it for about 5 different platforms. They're going to be making a PS4 version, a PS5 version, Xbox One version, Xbox X version, a Stadia version, and a PC version. So pretty much it's a big deal, to be able to bring this content and whenever it comes. So I think the patience that a lot of the community members are showing is just part of that aspect of seeing all of these different parameters and proxies, and we're responding in that way. Now, yes, some people have lost their patience. In a sense, I don't blame them, because sometimes it's hard to be waiting. But again, when you consider the factors that are influencing why you're waiting, I think it really does come to light to say, okay, because of these factors, we're just going to continue to wait. And if when they bring the content, we're just going to pretty much engage in it and go from there. Now, again, other games are coming out, but again, many of these other games don't necessarily appeal to a lot of Division agents. And so that's another challenge there. So what I would usually say is just hang in there. Find a game. You'll find one that you enjoy. For me, it's The Division right now on the Xbox. I know Division 2 and Division 1 maybe, but Division 2 on the Xbox, I'm trying to get a level 40 character there so I can say I basically did the entire run for the Division 2. For the Division 1, I may play Division 1 on the Xbox, and that way I will basically complete the full cycle and go from there, because right now my goal is to have the Division with a fully beefed up character on every platform that I can get my hands on, and I'm close. Xbox is the only one. I got it on Stadia, I have it on PC, I have it on PS5, which will also be PS4 if I decided to play on whatever console. And so Xbox is the last part. Plus, we have some really cool Xbox content creators in this community as well, and a really decent Xbox community as well. So look out for that. I'll be talking about that a little bit more from time to time, and that's pretty much the end of my video. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me and hanging in there, for your own sanity as well in terms of Division. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section about how you're dealing with all of this waiting and the waiting game. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.